individuals are all different. Everybody in teams are all different.
You used to go playing pitch and put
I used
the
to play
morning
pitch and
of
putt
an
on a Sunday
All-Ireland.
morning, and that's how I spent my morning leading
And
up to the
did you play pitch and putt the morning of the 82
I
final?
played every All-Ireland final I played pitch and putt in the morning.
Mickey Hart here, you listen to the
sponsored by
Football
Paddy
Show.
Power. For exclusive content from the GAA ambassadors and other high-profile contributors, check out news.paddypower.com.
Oh, Jesus, that's closer than I thought. Of course, with the home venue advantage for Dublin and the home draw for the GAR. And the referee who teaches in Dublin. We know all about it. Okay. All right, we have the final we all wanted. I think we'll all agree on that, right? So we have Kerry, the two heavyweights in Gaelic football in Ireland. We have Kerry on 37 titles, Dublin on 28. Dublin are closing in fast on Kerry's number. What was it Jim Gavin said when he took the Dublin job? I have the quote written down here. My greatest challenge will be knocking Kerry right off their fucking perch. It was a true story. You didn't see that quote, no? Okay, right. Listen, enough for me. I have a few friends that want to say hello to you as well.
I, the wonderful Joe Brolly, would like to welcome you all down to the GAA Hour Live at Liberty Hall, previewing the All-Ireland final. What a great crowd.
Some crowd is right, Joe. Just have a look at that. Row 7 seat chairs. Some of the stuff, absolutely.
Where's that now?
Jesus, look at the legs on that.
Oh, I see those legs, absolutely. Very well spotted, Jer.
I'd say he'd make a fine fullback, that fella, huh? Big old thighs on him, huh? Beautiful stuff.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, welcome. And we're previewing, Dublin's historic 5-in-a-row win because, let's be honest, it's a foregone conclusion. The Dubs are going to do it.
Well, the Dubs, wouldn't they want to be winning it with all the advantages they have, huh?
Stop, Jer. The Dubs get no advantage whatsoever.
Except for the fact that they've got the biggest population in the country to play all the games in Croke Park. They have more coaches in Dublin than they have in most provinces, and there's more money than they know what to do with. But apart from that, they have no advantages. Absolutely.
I mean, that's a total disrespect. Dublin, what a great county it is. I love Dublin, I really do. There's not one bad thing I could say about it. There's not one bad person in Dublin. It's just a wonderful place.
Mystic Mac here. The notorious Conor McGregor, yeah?
Well, there's always one, isn't there?
What are you talking about, Four Eyes? Listen, I just want to make a toast to Dublin and to the 5 in a row, yeah? The champs. That's what I'm talking about. With the finest Irish
proper shot I've ever tasted, I can tell you that. And you're going around hitting old fellas now as well, McGregor.
The elfin insulted me whiskey, yeah?
So you're going to continue to go around hitting old fellas, is that right?
Listen, Lockdown, I have no fear of any old man, you know what I'm saying? I see nothing but stiffness in that elderweight division.
Absolutely.
Fair play to you, Jerry, because that McGregor fellow was full of absolute crap, so easy.
Sorry about that, lads. I just can't listen to crap. Anyway, lads, I thought football was going to be cancelled after last year. It was that brutal. Pure constipated football for the whole year. It was so boring. But this year, lads, I said I'd watch it. I'd give it a go. And I watched Dublin vs Mayo a couple of weeks ago. And I have to say, it was one of the best sleeps I ever had. It was just useless. But this is Dublin versus Kerry. The Dublin Jackeens versus the Kerry Cute Hooves, right? And I predict history will be made and the Dubs are going to make it. They're going to become the first team to win the 5 in a row. Or they're going to become the second team to make an absolute bollocks of it. But either way, Gerlach then won't be watching it. I fucking think it's brutal, that football crap. Cheers, good luck.
I think that line, I see stiffness in that elderweight division, is one of the all-time classic lines. All right, are you ready for our first panel? Give it up for Bomber Liston, Jack O'Shea, Sean Lowry and Bernard Brogan.
On my own. What do you want me to do?
Sit on the couch there, Sean.
It's safe to be there, is it? It's safe to be there, is it?
It's the crowd split 50-50, lads. The Kerry lads were a little bit nervous that they were coming into the Lions' den here, but it's okay. It's not usual you have that much Kerry support, lads, is it?
Usually this weekend we have plenty of support.
Right, well, I want to talk about the rivalry, lads, right? And between 1974 and 1986, Kerry and Dublin won every All-Ireland bar one. Dublin won 4, Kerry won 8. And of course, Sean and the lads spoilt the party in 1982. We're going to get to that. But I think we'll start with this video, Bernard, which you like.
This is David Hickey coming away now. This is Tony Hanaho. In now to Bernard Brogan. He's in front of the goal. He can't miss. He has it.
Poor ref.
It's always nice to see that, Bernard. But like this was 77, you'd beaten Kerry in 76. There was a lot of similarities. You were the hot favourites at that time, and Kerry had a young team building.
Well, in 75, when we played Kerry, you know, in the sense I was talking to someone the other day, we were ambushed because we were a very young Kerry team. We were red hot favourites. I think being beaten in 75 gave us a bit of momentum for the 76, 77 campaigns. But obviously, you know, in the sense our team was, I think, was a little older team than the Kerry team. So in 78, when they came along, I mean, they were just, even though we were leading by 5 points, or 6 points to 1, 7 points to 1 after 25 minutes. And then the game just went away from us. I mean, my belief is that, you know, there's not a lot of talk about this, but Kevin Moran pulled his hamstring that day. And you don't hear much talk about it, but Kevin shouldn't have been playing. You know, so that's not complaining because it's 40 years ago. But
yeah, he wasn't right going into it. He wasn't right.
Sounds like it. When he was, I mean, if you watch the match, you'll see Kevin running back on an occasion, and then he sort of pulls his thing.
He was actually Bernard.
He
was chasing me. He was chasing me.
Bomber,
he was trying to slow up. He was.
You arrived on the scene in 78, Bomber, and listen, you were a little bit like Brian Fenton. You didn't know what it was like to lose for a good few years then.
No, that was my first championship year. I played my first championship against Cork in Munster final and played the semi-final and final. And, geez, I got on a good run like Fenton, all right. But that day, I remember just thinking going up like, geez, this is a good Dublin team, like, you know, Christ. And I knew we had a good team as well. And I said, you know what, if they beat us, fair play to them. And when they were 6-1 up, geez, I said, you know, lads, what a team. And it just turned. And it just shows you, like, you know, that team, and they proved it after. They got 6 finals, like, you know, but just momentum just hit with us there. I think the big thing wasn't, I wouldn't put it down to the hamstring. Or the bandage. Every time I meet Kevin, I'd say, geez, every one of us would like to have had a safety net. But having the bandage here and having the bandage around the head, how many of them did you need? But I think it was really the psychological damage of Mikey's goal. You know, it was a total unique goal, and that really did major damage. Like, because I went in at halftime, I couldn't believe that we were still in the game, like, you know, and that were we a point up or something?
No, I think where the game turned was, you turn really with the goal John Egan got in the first half. All the Dublin players were 6-1 up, they were all attacking. And I remember the incident, we got a free mixed plan to go quickly. This fella came out and caught it. He flicked it down to me, and I looked up, and there was only one Dublin defender between me and the goal. And Pat Spillane was inside me, and John Egan was inside him. But there was only one Dublin defender in their own half.
Right.
So they were totally attacking. Like Robbie Keller was up on the 14-yard line. All the Dublin players just did it. I think they had us washed up.
I was up at the semi-final. They've definitely learned from that because there was 15 Dublin lads put a lot of it behind.
But Sean, I suppose you were watching this at the time thinking, geez, we've a right good team building here and we will be around very soon. And it was the 79 Leinster final league kind of entered the scene against Dublin. You lost that one, but then you won 3 Leinsters in a row.
Yeah, 1979, 78, or yes. 79 was the one that we lost against Dublin. You got a goal in the last minute, Bernard. But I think after that, Dublin were a kind of a gone team, you know, so we were there. And we figured all the time after that we were going to win the Leinster for the next couple of years.
Right.
But that's the way football was. And even to this day, people talk about football is dominated by Dublin or whatever, you know. But I mean, Dublin dominated that time as well. And then Offaly dominated for 3 years in a row. We got won the Leinster 3 years in a row. I have 6 Leinster medals, and both of them were 3 in a row. So when
don't be boasting now.
No, I'm not boasting, but I'm just telling you.
How many All-Irelands have you, Jacko?
In a small county, you need to make hay, you know, while you have a chance. And we had a good group of players for a couple of years, and we won 3 Leinsters. And then I was lucky enough to come with another 3 as well. So all I'm saying is that when you do kind of have a good group of players, and even going back to all the matches, and we won't talk about stuff, but 1981, we lost the All-Ireland against Kerry. But we knew going home on the train that we probably would be in the All-Ireland the following year. It was that simple. It was no knockout. There was no qualifiers. We were going to sail through Leinster. Yeah, even with Laois and whatever, or Dublin.
Here, Sean, I wasn't around at the time. Bernard Brogan is there, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, in my time, Laois never beat Offaly, so I rest my case.
But
in hurling or football.
The one thing though about that Offaly team, they lost a Leinster, they came back, they won a Leinster. They lost the semi-final, came back and won a semi-final. They lost the final and came back and won the final. You know, it took a good team to do that, to learn, and they had a fabulous manager.
They were persistent anyway, I suppose.
Yeah, persistent.
The semi-final in 1980, it was 4-15 to 4-11. And Matt Connor scored 2-9 that day.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. That was a phenomenal game.
Yeah, but I still think, Jack, going back to that match, even though we're only 3 or 4 points in it, we had never a chance of winning that match. We were all the time catch up.
Yeah, but if you look in the next couple of years, you altered your team slightly. You were playing centre forward one year, you were centre back another year. Yeah, like they were plotting the downfall for us, really. We actually played them in quite a few challenge games as well around that time.
I agree with that.
And the opening pitches and all that sort of stuff, and unknown to us. But they plotted a plan, but they had to execute it on the day. And the 82 final was a fabulous game. It was a fabulous game of football from end to end. The 3 half-backs, Sean, Pat Fitzgerald and Liam Corm, scored 3 fantastic points in the first half coming forward. Like Kerry, we played good enough to win that match.
Yeah.
We had our chances to win the game. But like they hung in there, and they got the goal at the end.
Yeah, but I honestly think that even for 13, and maybe even 14 of the players that played for Offaly in 82 never played as well as they did in 82.
Everybody played well.
And to play well in an All-Ireland final, it takes a special individual. And I suppose
Who didn't play, Sean?
I'm not saying that. Yeah, but I'm just saying everyone played well, but I never played as well as I did that day. And I could say Brendan Lowry didn't play as well as he played that day. You know, Pádraig Dunn, Tomas Connor,
there's very few
We're going to get to the 5 in a row in
Yeah,
a second
okay.
now.
But there's very few All-Irelands won with individual performance. It's really a team. What team performs as a team?
Yeah.
It's the same next Sunday. Like Dublin can show up and have two or three outstanding players, but if they don't play as a team, they won't beat Kerry. If Kerry play as a team, they have a chance of beating Dublin. So it's all about, if you can go on a Monday mornings and list your players from 1 to 15 and mark them out of 10, if you can get 13 of those players with 8 points, you'll win the All-Ireland. So that's what it's all about, performing on the day.
Hey, Bernard, Dublin have done very well this time on keeping this hype on the 5 in a row down, because I'm going to get to the Kerry hype in a minute, that this got a bit out of hand. But Jim Gavin, I slag him off a lot about, and the media manager who controls a lot of stuff. But Jesus, I can't believe it this week. There's been no real pressure, coming through in the media about the 5 in a row.
No, but I mean, that's because, in a sense, there's nothing comes out of the camp. I was just saying before we came out that, asking me what's going on, what would Bernard say about what's going on. But they don't tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know very little about who's being picked, what their tactics are, strategy. I mean, when I'm watching the match, I'm trying to figure out what the strategy is, just like everybody else. So he's done, for the time that Bernard's been there, Jim Gavin has created a situation where they're very tight. There's very little gets out of the camp. So that's why I think there's very little to write about except supposition. And that's why it's hard to create hype if you haven't got something that sort of
to work off. The hype got real with G-Bomber because, there was talk of songs, huge crowds in Killarney at your training sessions, which wouldn't be unusual. That was happening in Kilkenny when, in the noughties. But then there was rows about what colour jersey you'd wear and stuff like that.
There was all that, and there's no doubt there was hype, and have no doubt about it. Pressure comes on when you're going down that straight. That last 10 minutes, if you look back at that tape, some of us did things that we normally wouldn't do.
Right.
Our positioning, we lost our shape. And in fairness, I'd only put it down to pressure. And there was pressure even in the morning. I was talking to Paddy Mahoney during the week. He's saying, geez, I remember you were as pale as ghost at breakfast. So that even though there's no hype,
And you,
Have
were you
no
talking,
doubt.
Were you talking amongst each other about pressure? It was just internal?
No, you wouldn't be
keeping it to
talking
yourself?
about pressure. You'd be trying to, but geez, you could hardly talk, and you'd be pale, and Jesus, you're wondering. And next thing the match is on, and you feel it's going away from you, and you're saying, Jesus, will I go out? Will I go out? Will I stay inside? Jesus, just an awful lot of things. But in fairness, I'm not taking away from Offaly. We were playing a right good team. And you're talking about the songs. There was a song that time, 5 in a row, 5 in a row. Can it believe we won 5 in a row? And geez, we were down in Mulligan's just down here. The following Sunday, the match, it was Monday, wasn't it? All Irelands were Sundays. Monday. we used to always go to Mulligan's in Poolbeg Street, just a team after, and we were below, and Jesus, it's the worst feeling of all when you lose in All Ireland. It was my first experience of losing one, and Jesus, waking up in the morning is the worst of the whole lot. And Jesus, you're trying to just blank it out. But anyway, we all met down in Mulligan's, and we were having a few pints. There wasn't much chat, and a few more pints and not much chat. And Con Houlihan, I don't know if a lot of the people here remember, he used to write for the Evening Press. He was a Kerry man, just a fabulous writer, a sports writer. And Con Houlihan, yeah. So Con came in anyway, and geez, we were all there as well, because it was the first time you'd get the Evening Press. The first, straight off the bat, you'd go in there and you'd be going down, did I get him mentioned? You know, did I get him? But this day anyway, we were down, and next thing, Con went over to his usual place and sent over some champagne to us. Champagne. And geez, next thing anyway, Sean Welsh and Ogie and a few more of them were digging into the champagne, and next thing it was a case of 5 in a row, 5 in a row. Christ, we were close to the 5 in a row. You know. So, but the songs were out that time anyway.
Now, I have to say, so you went 5 up in the second half of that 82 game. And like, I mean, while Offaly were hatching a plan for you, the plan wasn't working that well for Offaly. And then they started getting some of the handiest frees you'll ever see. So I have an example. This is Sean Lowry getting one of the handiest frees you will ever see.
Currams. Sean Lowry.
So, have you ever seen that? Like, David Goff wouldn't give that to Kevin McManaman.
Colm, that's a yellow card now.
So that was it. Then Kerry, obviously, you're down to 2 in it, and there's a lot of pressure coming on, and you know it's backs against the wall, and we know about black card offences in the game now, but we'll have a look at this, and you can tell me if this was a black card offence or not.
Leads them into the attack, but Sean Lowry out to the wing and brought down out there Stephen Darby, and there is a free for the...
You can be certain that film was doctored. I tell you, photoshopped or whatever they call it.
Well, you can forget about Bomber Liston as far as he's a man.
He should have held on to the ball.
Do you know the funny thing from that free, Sean? I don't have the video of that. You robbed about 10 yards from where that free was taken.
Did I?
Yeah. But the goal.
Yeah, but the amazing thing is, going back to that free was before the free. I remember, was it Mikey Sheehy was coming out with the ball, and I think, Bomber, you were behind me.
I'd say I was in front of you, Sean.
No, this is important now.
Yeah.
The Bomber was behind me, and Mikey Sheehy was coming out with the ball, and he had Sean Welsh and he had Pat Spillane.
He kicked it to you.
And what did he do when he kicked it to me? Oh, he tried to kick it to you, Bomber.
Yeah.
But of course, I intercepted.
That's exactly.
And I gave it to Pat Fitzgerald, and that was the free. But all I'm saying is, nowadays, Mikey Sheehy would have given it to Pat Spillane, would have given it back to Mikey Sheehy, would have given it to Sean Welsh, and you could have walked up the field with it.
But he knew that Spillane doesn't give it back.
But that was it. And we all know the famous goal and everything, but the funny thing about that is that Seamus Darby came on for a wing forward, and then brought Tommy Doyle into the full back line, and he followed him in. So he wasn't really prepared for a, like a switch at that stage. Like your lad said, the pressure was on, and everyone's brain was scrambling, I suppose, Jacko.
Yeah, I think like when you're in a lead like that, you know, it's into the last minute and a half again. You're trying to defend. And actually, when Seamus Darby kicked the ball, would you believe it? I could even feel the way. I nearly got to it. The ball just flicked over my fingers.
Weren't we lucky?
So, you go into the defensive mode naturally enough in front like that. But as we mentioned, the frees there, like I never had a crib about the goal, but the 2 frees they got before the goal always bothered me. And I actually said it to the referee in San Francisco.
PJ McGrath.
PJ McGrath.
Jacko, I'll tell you where you can get therapy now for that.
The words he said to me were, I didn't think they were going to score a goal. I was trying to tighten the game up.
Oh yeah, I'd say that's true. Yeah. But Bernard, that's what referees do.
The actual words he said to me. In San Francisco.
Where is he?
Oh yeah, but Jacko, you got a very handy free in the first half now as well. Have you got that one, Colm? No.
No, I don't.
All right, Sean.
I do. Obviously, we'll finish up with this. But the Mikey Sheedy missed penalty. This caused a lot of confusion. He missed the penalty. I think you were shouting, Bomber, for Tim Kennelly to take it. And were you shouting for Ogie Moore? So, was there a bit of confusion about who would take it?
I told the fella that one time, and it was true, was that Tim Kennelly was bursting the net with penalties in training for about 5 weeks before that final. He was just bullets, honest to God. And I remember Mikey, things weren't going well for Mikey at the time. And I was saying, geez, I went running over towards the sideline I said, Jesus, then something. I said, hadn't you some cheek going over telling them what to do? Yeah. I was just saying, the thought came into my head just that it would have been a penalty for Mikey, or for Tim. But look, it was a good save, in fairness, and it wasn't a weak penalty. He had a good blast at it, and give credit to the goalie.
Maybe that was the pressure, though, Bomber, as well, or that was even confused. Mikey Sheedy was the penalty taker. He shouldn't have even,
He actually never liked taking penalties.
He didn't like taking.
Did he not?
No.
Right.
I got the job after that then. That was the last one I think he took from then on.
Yeah.
I used to take it after that then.
No surprises.
Well, Nico was ruthless.
Oh, don't talk to me. I know that. Bernard, we're talking about all these things that are going wrong and, on the field and the pressure. But when you look at it, Dublin were going for 3 in a row against Mayo in 16, and Lee Keegan runs up the field and scores the most inspirational goal you're going to see, rattles the net in front of the hill. There's about 8 minutes left. The whole country's behind them, and Dublin don't panic. That's the one thing about Dublin. You just can't see them on Sunday ever panicking.
No, they will.
You think so?
We're here to hear, yeah.
If we're close enough to them, coming down the straight with 10 minutes to go, you'll see a lot of mistakes.
Right.
Ryan 10, wasn't I there?
I mean, we might see mistakes, but Dublin have won games by a point because we've won 2 All-Irelands with the last kick of the game. So even though Dublin are red-hot favourites on Sunday, they haven't won All-Irelands by big scores, but they've just kept plugging away. And even when Warwick will get a goal, Dublin have the ability to just, the way Cluxton plays, he contributes to that because we win a lot of the kick-outs. So it means after people score against us, we get the ball. So we have the ball. Whereas when games go against teams, often the balls are kicked out long, and then they don't win. So a couple of scores coming against them, the whole momentum of the game changes. So that'll be interesting Sunday to see, that tactics about the kick-outs, what happens. I mean, in Kerry in the league game, Kerry pushed up on us and played man-to-man. So I meant, I know Evan Comerford was there, and he did pretty well with the kick-outs, but he was kicking them long. So that'll be a big part of the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Kerry have a very good record against Cluxton in the kick-outs. They're very good at putting pressure on them.
They invented that big press.
That was there. They have that in their armory.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. So here, the big question here, lads, is Tommy Walsh start or not? I'll no point in asking Bomber, because listen, this is a number 14 target man to another one. I'm not going to. Would Dublin like Tommy Walsh to start, Bernard?
I don't know whether Dublin would
as a fan, would you rather see Tommy on the bench?
I'd rather see him on the bench.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Walsh, as a footballer, he came home from Australia. He came home with an injury, in my opinion, and he played games, but he was never really. He didn't run properly. But in the last couple of years, I think he's a serious footballer. And if you kick the ball in high to Tommy and you put it within 3 or 4 yards, and he'll win 80% of those balls. So him in the field against us is a serious threat, you know. So would I rather see him on the bench? Yeah, I would, yeah.
There's your answer, Sean, really, if people are even up for debate of whether Tommy Walsh starts or not, is I would be fairly sure the Dublin backline would prefer if he didn't.
Absolutely, and that's why you play him.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole reason I think he has to be on. And I think with Clifford, it puts an added thing as well. And the Dublin full backline is the only, if you talk to people now, they said the weakest link on the Dublin team is the full backline. Well then, if you have Tommy Walsh and Clifford inside, well, that to me is the only way of unhinging this team.
I think if Tommy Walsh starts, Dublin will start a different team what they were hoping to start with.
Yeah.
I think Dublin will change their team.
They won't know though.
Well, they won't know, but they'll have to work on it fairly quickly if he does start. But I'd be for starting.
And they're very good at that too. Dublin are very good at that.
Like to me, you need to have Keane O'Sullivan or Philly McMahon come in to mark him.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any other player in their full back line who will take care of Tommy Walsh, in my opinion.
Yeah. So it does mess them up a little bit, Bomber, if he starts. I would say Dublin are so professional they'll have a Tommy Walsh starts team and a Tommy Walsh doesn't start team. What are you whispering over there?
I will tell him not to tell you anything.
Has it got out he's starting? Has it got out?
Go on.
Jack was a bit guilty there, all right.
No, I'd start him. Absolutely.
He's an O'Reilly's man.
It just gives it. He's an O'Reilly's man.
You have to have the ball to kick it into him, you know that?
Pardon?
You have to have the ball to kick it into him.
Yeah. What it gives you really, like from an attacking point of view of our forwards, like you know, you can have that low, fast, snappy football, which is great with forwards if they're out in front. If that's not working, you go up the wings and you give the diagonal ball in. That's where he'd be a huge asset.
Yeah.
No, you're going to have fellas bombing through from behind and coming at the Dubs in waves of fellas off the shoulders. It just gives you an extra string to your bow. And it isn't that you'd have to use him every single time. You know, it's just, that's why I would do it if I was in charge. But I'm sure they'll do what's the right thing because they'd see more of him inside in training and how he's doing and all that. So
yeah, no,
we leave it to the management.
It definitely is the big talking point. It is the big talking point.
Well, I think no matter what time he comes on in the game, if he doesn't start, he's going to change Dublin's thinking, and he's going to change the way that Kerry will play the game. I feel they will use him quite a bit. You know, if they have that luxury that they can use him, like I was able to use this for in the years gone by. Like it's a great luxury to be able to put the ball in 40 and 50 yards, but you can set yourself back up again for Andy coming back out. Plus, you have the 80% chance that someone big like that will not get their hand to the ball. And if you have snipers,
my stats were 98.
Right, guys, we'll finish on predictions. Going to finish on predictions. Bernard, we'll start with you. This is an easy one, really, isn't it?
Predictions. It's a prediction, yeah. No, I think Dublin will win. They win by a couple of points.
Just a couple?
It won't be big. It won't be. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think they'll both be fairly cautious, and I think there'll be a lot of man marking. Not a defensive game per se, but a tight game. So I just don't think it'll be a big scoring game. But I think Dublin will win by a couple of points.
A couple of points. Sean, what do you think?
I think it'll be Dublin, yeah. I think it's very difficult to beat the system they have, and I think they have so many of a panel, and they have it so well sussed out.
Well, they've so many proven match winners.
Yeah, exactly. Now, remember now that Mayo scored 2 own goals in one All-Ireland and only won by a point. In actual fact, Mayo, Dublin only scored...
They're cursed, you see. Kerry aren't cursed.
Yeah, I know. Is that a plus or that's a plus for Kerry, isn't it?
Well, not being cursed is a plus, I'd say, yeah.
But remember, Dublin only scored 9 points in that All-Ireland final. Now, they have improved since that. That's the problem. That's for Kerry. But I'll just finish on one thing. Offaly were 6-1 in 1982 to beat Kerry.
6-1, yeah. Similar betting to now,
and
then.
Dublin are 5-1. So there's always a chance.
Yeah.
1-5, yeah.
Dublin are 1-5, yeah. 5-1.
1-5, yeah, 1-5, yeah. But Kerry were 1-6. So
right.
I rest my case. There's a chance. There's a chance.
There is of course there's a chance.
But there's one thing I don't think. I don't think it'll be a close game.
Right.
I think Dublin. I think if Dublin get away, they'll win it easy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, but that's no, Kerry mightn't get away.
And if Kerry get away,
Palmer, did you ever lose an Ireland to Dublin?
no.
No.
What's that?
We
Jack?
never lost in Ireland to Dublin. What I'm saying is, this Kerry team will believe they can beat Dublin. Have no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They beat them in the league this year. I know it's February, but that's psychologically, that's a big thing to them. I personally think that there'll be stages in this game that Dublin will dominate. There'll be stages Kerry will dominate. To me, it's what team makes hay when they dominate. Because if Kerry can dominate for 10 or 15 minutes and knock into, like they did in the semi-final, you remember in the first half, they knocked in 2 or 3 goals early on. They're capable of doing that. So I think everybody will be near the edge of their seats throughout the game, because I can't see anybody going home before the last 5 minutes. If Kerry can hang in there with 10 minutes to go, anything can happen in football. The ball can hit the post, come back, a goal, anything can happen. So, but these Kerry lads will believe. I think there's about 11 of them haven't played in the final before. Once they get over that initial 10 minutes, I think they'll settle into the game. I think you'll see a massive game on Sunday, and I'm expecting it very open. I want to see a very tactical game. I think it'll be man on man.
Yeah, I think
take each other on. I'm expecting that kind of a game. You're never too young. I was 19 when I played Mark. Hang on a second. I was 19 when I marked Bernard in 77.
I was 17.
I was 20 when I won my first.
He was overage.
I was 20 when I won my first All-Ireland. So, like, you're never too young.
So was I.
You're never too young.
Okay, here, buddy, leave the questions to me there, all right?
Just a second. Conor O'Callaghan what age was he last year?
Connor's 23 this year.
23, 21, 22. You're never too young. If you're physically strong enough, age doesn't come into it.
There's 7 of the Kerry
And
team are 22 or younger.
This Kerry team.
Yeah.
9 that played against 9 of... Here, come on, listen, give it up there now, right?
You're never too young. Like, if you can get onto a county team, you're there on merit. And like, if you were too young, you wouldn't be there.
Yeah, no,
so
it's true.
if you haven't got the ability, you won't be there. So I believe in them. I think they're a very good team. They're an up-and-coming team. They're going to improve. This is a huge task, have no doubt about it. A monstrous task. But if they can overcome and have that bit of fear, I think they need fear going into the game, fear of losing a game. I think if they bring that in with them, that'll drive them. And when you're on the pitch, football takes over. What lead up means nothing. That's my opinion.
What do you think, Bomber, on this? I get the prediction off you. There is obviously pressure on Dublin coming down the straight.
There is, yeah.
But there'll also be pressure on Kerry thinking, Jesus, we're actually stopping this. I know, Sean, for you, you kind of got a smash and grab.
I don't think the 5 in a row.
pressure's on Dublin, though. The pressure's on Dublin.
5 in a row doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Well,
Listen, how many players in the Dublin team are actually going for 5 in a row? There's probably about 6 or 7. There's a lot of players are not going for the 5 in a row. There's only about 6 or 7 in the starting team would have
still
won
history,
5 in a
though,
row.
Jack. It's
I know,
still
but
history,
listen, it's an All-Ireland to be won.
One of the
That's
big...
like the Dublin. If you ask any Dublin player, what's on tomorrow or Sunday, he'll say an All-Ireland
final,
final.
yeah.
It's not 5 in a row doesn't matter.
But one of the real advantages Dublin have is their squad, in the sense that
of
they've
course,
26 guys.
Yeah.
So when Dublin make a change, it very rarely weakens the team.
Of course.
And the fellas that are on the bench are very experienced, so they're waiting to get in. And that question about have Kerry got that ability to, when things go wrong, to make those changes. That's why when Dublin make changes, generally speaking, the guys that come on change the momentum of the game a lot. Now, can that keep going?
Yeah. In the Meath game, Kerry made changes. They made a big effect. In the Tyrone game, they made a few switches that really
Big effect,
They did
yeah,
too,
the
yeah.
team. So I think both teams have a few players. Dublin probably a bit more than Kerry on the bench, but like no matter who comes into the game, it's all about it's on the day. You have to do it.
Yeah, it's true. Bomber, we'll get you're the cast and vote here. It'll be I'm wondering which way you're going to go.
Very seldom the bookies are that wrong. Maybe once every 37 years.
I knew he was going to say that.
But I know for a fact that the more All-Irelands you're playing, the more nervous you get. And everyone says, oh, it is experience. Sure, you're look at the experience. Geez, the experience of the fellas I played with. Jesus, the pressure got worse and worse, because you actually begin to realise that you're not just playing for yourself and your family. Jesus, you're playing for the county, and there's extra pressures on
and
it.
you overanalyze it.
And
a bit.
then throwing the 5 in a row pressure, which I'm telling you, in the last 10 minutes.
Well, Jacko says there's no pressure at all. In that.
Well, Jacko never felt pressure. He'd be waving up at the fellas during the band. Let me tell you, there is pressure. Anytime you're out in that field, and the few hours before it, the night before it, the morning of the match, and when you go over and shake hands and you think your man is after swallowing your hand, like kind of, you know, all these things. There's a fellow up on your shoulder there telling you were useless, you should have trained harder. There's a fellow up here telling you were brilliant. And these are all the things that are going on, but there is pressure. Anyone that'll tell you there isn't pressure.
Bombers playing here. It's brilliant. It's pure Kerry, ramp up the pressure stuff here.
Ask any lad, was there pressure there as you got older?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Did it get easier?
Absolutely.
There's more things you think about can go wrong.
And
No,
no matter how...
It's good to be young.
Yeah, but no matter how Jim Gavin isolates the players away from the pressure, they're going to bed with pressure on Saturday night. I don't care what they said. It's the pressure of history that they're going to make history on Sunday. And no matter how they isolate them from it, it's there. And that's the problem with 10 minutes to go, as the Bomber says. And even Mikey Sheehy said there, in 82, his legs were in jelly, even though he was as fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
The nerves are kind of... And this was a man that he went on to win 9 All-Irelands. 8. My God.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, and if there's no pressure then, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Jack.
Yeah, I think... I think it's different. Individuals are all different. Everybody in teams are all different.
You used to go playing pitch and put
I used
the
to play
morning
pitch and
of an
put on
All-Ireland.
Sunday morning, and that's how I spent my morning leading
And
up to the
did you play pitch and put the morning of the 82
I
final?
played every All-Ireland final I played pitch and put in the morning. I totally...
So you couldn't sleep?
No, I used to sleep. I used to actually be one of the last to go to bed. I'd be one of the first up. I'd have my breakfast. I'd go down to Malahide, play 18 holes of pitch and put. I'd bring 5 or 6 of the subs with me. And I'd come back, I'd have a sandwich, I'd drive my own car into Croke Park, go up and watch the first half of the Ryan match. And I come down to the dressing room. I love the whole setup. I love the whole thing.
Did you have an old pint of stout or anything else?
I'll put it like this to you, right? When you just put it into perspective, we were fortunate enough, right? On Sunday, 30 people will walk behind the Artane Boys band. That is unique to be one of those 30. And that's the ambition of any young kid, any Gaelic footballer. Like, if Kerry players are down in Kerry for the weekend, they have no chance of winning the All-Ireland. They're up in Dublin, they have a chance of winning the All-Ireland. That's where county players want to be. That's where every kid that plays Gaelic football wants to do. Walk behind that band. Be one of 30 that do that. That is unique. And that never leaves you. And that sensation never leaves you.
Yeah. You're going to make me cry here, Jacko. Listen, give it up for panel 1. Bernard Brogan, Sean Lowry, Jacko Shea, Bobber Liston. Welcome back. All right, you ready? You ready for panel 2? Give it up for Ger Brennan, Alan Brogan, and Paddy Power Ambassador Aidan O'Mahony. Give it up for them again there. They were on the way in. I want to start off talking now about 2011 because you all played.
Good.
Yeah. A great day for the parish, Alan. I can only imagine the nerves though that were in the Dublin dressing room for that one because it took you so long to get there.
Yeah, we're going to leave out the previous 10 years, are we?
Yeah, we're leaving that out.
Yeah, like in a way, I don't know, like the old cliche was another match for us, but I suppose...
Were you really talking like that back then, or is that just?
I know there was. Yeah, no, there definitely was a bit of that then. But like, obviously going into play against Kerry, there was a huge chance of kind of what was going to happen. And I suppose, like when you look back now, for us, I'd say a lot of, maybe not ourselves, but a lot of supporters were kind of probably going into that match in hope rather than expectation. God, if we could, hopefully we can win this game. Whereas now you expect Dublin to win and. Like we expect Dublin to win on Sunday, so it was different then. But yeah, I'm sure there was. Like I'm sure there was nerves at the time, and I suppose once a game, like for myself going out playing, there was always a few nerves before. But once you got to like to the hotel with the lads, and you met the lads, you started to calm a little bit then, and once you were on the field, you just took it like any other game.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the fact you're in an All-Ireland final, Jerry. You hadn't been on the road as long as Alan trying to get into one, but it was the Kerry team you're coming up against. Do you know what I mean? Proven All-Ireland winners, track record, all those things.
Am I reading into that when I came into the team, it improved Alan's chances of winning All-Ireland?
Yeah.
So that's a good point, Willie. Fair play to you. The team of that decade, Willie, you had Kerry, you had Tyrone, and obviously Cork won in 2010. And that Cork team probably should have won a couple more All-Irelands, but that's neither here nor there. So very much aware of how talented the Kerry boys were, the amount of All-Irelands that they had, and when you added them up all together, if you started looking at those kind of external things, you can kind of become somewhat overawed by the occasion. But kind of one thing I certainly remember in the lead up to that game was the sense of routine and normalness that Pat Gilroy and the management team tried to maintain. Within the group, he got all the kind of circus stuff out of the way in the first week, and that's probably still the case now. You do your kind of media day, you do your supporters day in Parnell Park, get all your tickets out of the way, and then for the final 2 weeks, all the suits and all the stuff, final 2 weeks, concentrating on the game and the task that's ahead of you. But certainly the one thing I knew going into that match, and Alan, I'm sure will agree with me here, that whether we were going to win or lose in the scoreboard, it had been a massive success because lads were beginning to play for each other. And I know you might have one or two clips of the game, but Alan was actually the guy who got the interception. Like, you got a hand to, I think, Declan O'Sullivan's hand pass in the middle of the field, which led to Kevin McMenam's goal. Like, Alan never tackled for years. But he got player of the year that year, this year.
We used to have a statistician, Ray Boyan, and I have to ring him on the Monday morning after the match. Ray, will you stick me down for a few tackles there? It'd be like Alan Brogan, 1 tackle, Bernard Brogan, 0 tackles, give him a couple of tackles.
and Pat Gilroy, and to give credit to Aidan and his team and the Tyrone lads in Cork in the year beforehand, Pat would have watched the game, those previous All-Ireland finals, Wooly, and one statistic that he always focused in on, or principal play, was the tackle counts. What is a tackle in Gaelic football? That's obviously debatable, but making contact and stopping the man in possession going towards your goal. And when you looked at Aidan's All-Ireland finals in Cork the year before, they were getting up towards 100 tackles. We were hitting about 55, maybe 60. So certainly Alan Byrne, all the forwards, they all took a good bit of flack, whether it was the opposition kick out or we might have got turned over in the opposition half. It was probably just the norm. We didn't really know any different, that you kind of make a kind of tackle or a gesture to tackle. But once the lad's gone past you, you get back into your position away from the next ball in. So we learned quite a bit from what the previous champions did.
Well, you've kind of segued into my next video, which involves you, Aidan, and this is how to tackle. And Aidan is a bit of an enforcer for Kerry, but then maybe made a Dublin that the lads are talking about, a different Dublin.
More. Yeah, Aidan O'Mahony in with the shoulder that time on Barry Cahill, forced the ball out over the line.
And this happened then about 10 minutes later.
Kick out there ahead of James McCarthy, and then he's able to feed it to colleagues. Aidan O'Mahony fouled here by...
Aidan, that was a big part of your role with Kerry. It's the same as Ger, a little bit of a hands-on, get the shoulder in, annoy a fella, physicality, that, a big part of that game. And not only you with that Kerry team, it was known as a great footballing team, but there was a lot of that in it.
Yeah, I suppose I knew early on in my career I wasn't brought in for my football. I was brought in for, I think after Tyrone 2003, look, everyone spoke about Kerry being bullied, and myself and Paul Galvin came in 2004, and things changed a bit. And as you said there, the likes of myself and Ger, which should be, I suppose, good breeding, that you have to throw your body in the line, and you throw your body around for the likes of Alan, the lads that get all the credit after to shine. Do you know, these guys come out and after say,
I was a forward as well there. Just so
player of the year. I fancy my
chance. I am presenting now. You could have just thrown me in.
But yeah, you have to, and I think look, you talk about years that we'd have played there, and obviously I was no angel, but there's parts in games, where, look, as you said, you go out, you mark someone I won't see you take him out of the game, but you go in and do a job like everyone speaks about the 2014 game. I said Michael Murphy. No, I said you the last time I met you. He's 6'6". He's well able to take care of himself. And I just went out and man-marked him. And you do something for the team that you mightn't be seeing the game, your man mightn't be seen either, and that's your job on the day. Simple as that. And like if it gets you over the line, then so be it. And that was a good part of my 13 or 14 years of Kerry. Obviously, I enjoyed the football. I could kick the ball and stuff as well. But you know, it's that part like where you play the kind of robust side and you're left off. And when your manager doesn't say to you, look, you shouldn't be doing that, you obviously must be doing something right. Like so. Yeah, that obviously backfired. That did.
But it's funny though, because Kerry have us all fooled into thinking when you go out and play against them, it's going to be a nice open game of football with loads of kick passes and stuff. And like we obviously knew better than that when you had the likes of Aidan playing and Paul Gavin playing, and even Kieran Donaghy who's involved in everything that's going on in the field. So there was
he referees the game as well.
Referees sometimes as well. There was like we talk about dark arts. Like there was.
But Darrell O'Shea was a tough man too. Like I mean, they had loads.
Yeah, there was loads of them. Like they were obviously well able to play football too, but they could definitely mix them when they want as well. Like I would have known from seeing Aidan in action against the Australians in 2006 that he was well able to mix it.
I needed to because I didn't do many fellas to back me up. Am I joking? He's around somewhere.
You'd be waiting if you're waiting for him.
He's like delighted.
But that's the thing though, because this 2011 game, like Dublin haven't looked back since that. But that game followed a pattern that you'd started well, you're in the game, and now it started slipping away, right? And it was slipping away. Kerry, the experienced team, and they didn't look like any other winner other than Kerry. And then bang, you dispossessed that goal, Kevin McManaman goal. And amazingly, it's like Dublin history. It was you were transformed because it looked like no other winner, only ye after that goal went in, which was a weird one.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure if it was like that. Like Kerry got a couple of great scores after that. Kieran Donaghy got a huge point.
But the stadium was alive, wasn't it?
They were under pressure. But that was obviously the momentum from the goal and stuff. But like and there's talk like did maybe Kerry throw it away or did we go and win it? Like for me. Like kind of the game could still have went either way. Like Jared gave away the free he had, and Eamon Fennell won it. Will we talk about that later? Will we? And in fairness, Eamon Fennell bailed him out. Like, but so there was moments in that game that the game turned on, and like the dispossession, I got out in the middle of the field. Like that could have been any one of our full forwards or half forwards, and it was something that we'd worked on, kind of compressing the field from the halfway line back. We'd worked on it for months and months and months, and it just so happened it came off for us in a game like that at a crucial stage that obviously led to a counter attack that Kevin Mack got the goal from. So like that for me didn't happen by accident. That was through months and months, if not 2 or 3 years of work before that kind of led into that.
There was a 2007 quarter final against Kerry where we were in the mix fully.
Yeah.
You were kicking into the hill in the second half, and maybe the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game, you were probably the first team to actually just keep possession, not taking into contact. Remember, Hughes got the ball in the corner at the hill, Hughes stand side. He played the ball back out. It was a big arc around. It was about 20 phases. I think Declan O'Sullivan kicked the ball over the bar, and you may have gone on to win by maybe 6 or 7 points that day. To tie it in with what Alan was talking about, where we were trying to compress the field. We kind of knew if we were a couple of points behind in the game going into the last quarter that we couldn't be just standing there and allow them just to kind of keep possession. So we did begin to push up. But I thought the difference between 2007, say, when you were keeping possession, Aidan, and in the last quarter of the quarter final, the All-Ireland final 2011, you were playing the ball in your own half and in the middle of the field, and that was something we were probably working on as well. If we had a lead, that we wouldn't be messing around in the defence, that you'd be keeping the ball up there. But again, it was that work rate. Alan got a hand in. I think Keane O'Sullivan got the ball. Maybe I think he set you up. You set Kev Mack up. Quick free, and again, like you said, the rest is history. But we did learn quite a bit from our previous mistakes in previous years. You know? But we also learned quite a bit from watching the teams that win.
From watching them play. And like you going into that game, Aidan, like you obviously showed Dublin the respect it deserves, but you were able to handle them so easily up to that point. And did you realise when that game was over how the balance of power would have turned around?
No, I think the big thing for us, like the game was kind of eerie because we got on top early on, and we spoke about this, that you know, like Dublin, I suppose, with the crowd there as well. Like it's like a 16 player being on the pitch, and we kind of said to ourselves, if we can get on top early on, quieten the crowd, you'll go along your business. And then I can remember when Kevin got the goal. It's something I always remember, like, it's fine to be saying, right, you're still up a point, there's time left, you know, you need to get on ball. But the stadium started rocking, Dublin were back in the game, and then your thinking was, you can be doing so much inside in training, like about getting the next ball and winning the next ball. It's just totally different. You've lads trying to pick up their men, you're kind of saying, right, we need to get momentum here, we need to get our hand on the next ball. And then I think when you win All-Ireland, there's a bit of luck involved, and obviously when the momentum goes with you as well, it changes the game. And it did with Dublin that day. I think the ball went down again, there was another turnover. The wing back who got man of the match? Kevin Nolan kicked a massive score, like, and
I think it was his only ever point in the championship.
Yeah, what a time to kick it.
Good one, wasn't
it? And like so, you know, and then the momentum was with him, and obviously then the free in the finish, which Jesus, it was I won't say it was a harsh free, but it was harsh. But like it was one of those games that you nearly knew that when Dublin turned it around from like 4 points up 7 minutes to go, and they turned it around, that it was very hard to get back into.
To go back, turn that back.
The crowd was on top of you. Your mindset just goes. It just totally goes, because you're put into a situation that you're not used to. Now, in fairness, in training, like nowadays they do scenarios and stuff, and they say, right, you're 2 points down, 5 minutes to go. How would you react? Do you need a goal? Do you need to kick a point? They do it now. Back then, it was a case of, right, first 15 are on the pitch, you're up 4 points, 7 minutes to go, and next, the floodgates open. And you're saying,
like Bernard Senior said there, that you need a kick out. Kickouts then went long, and then it's any man's game, whereas, you know, you need to secure that next kick out.
It was totally different. Like, it was kind of, you're trying to pick up your man, like as you said, the ball is going long because you're a point up, and all of a sudden you're going from being in the driving seat to kind of saying, you're still a point up, but it's like you're after losing, because the crowd are on top of you now, and it's a case of they're 20 miles away, next they're on top of your back, and you're like saying, Jesus Christ. And then when they kick the equaliser, you're like, this is not going to end well. And then obviously the free ice kicks, and I said, oh Jesus Christ. It was like it was written in the stars, this is going to happen here. And I can remember standing under the bar, and I was kind of looking up, and I was like, I said, I hope to, whatever, like, he'll put it wide. But I knew when he ran up to it, I was there like, here we go. And then I'd say Jones's Road, I'd say the centre line cracked because the place just erupted.
Yeah, I've experienced in Leinster final in 07 Dublin scoring goals, and how your brain scrambles, and it's hard to describe it until you felt it. The stadium rocks, and I'm sure, Alan, it has the opposite effect on you. You know, we can't communicate with our players. The stadium's going crazy, and it's hard to keep focused. You know,
like I think when you're in the mix in the game like that, you're just focused on the game, and a lot of what's going on in the crowd is very much periphery. And I think, like, if you watch, and I've watched the last few minutes of that game a few times. I'm not sure, Aidan, if you've watched it too often, but
I have it here actually.
And if you haven't, I wouldn't recommend it.
You won't like the ending.
I watched the 2009 game a lot.
But like, it was completely frantic, and I think, like, all the scenarios that you work on training, that all goes out the window, and there's lads just playing off the cuff, and Kieran Donny kicks a score from out under the cue to stand. Bernard kicks a big score off his left foot. Kevin Nolan kicks a score that he's never kicked before in his life for Dublin. Wouldn't be known for kicking points at all, and then he kicks one from 45 yards out. So, and like, if you watch us if you watch us defending after Stephen's point, you talk about structure in defence stuff. We are all over the shop when that kicker comes out, and they said, please just blow this up, because if Kerry had another attack, we were so frantic defending that the likelihood was they were going to get a chance anyway. Obviously, the referee blew it up and the game was over, but it was completely frantic for the last 7 or 8 minutes, and like a couple of things definitely went in our favour, and we were lucky to come out on top of it. But you'd hardly begrudge us one at that stage, Aidan, would you?
I wouldn't begrudge you, Aidan.
Come here, we're moving on to 15 now, because the three of you played in 11. Jerry, you played in 13. Alan, you were injured. And then Aidan, you and Alan played in 15. And 15 never really got going. It was like Dublin kind of had Kerry at arm's length for a lot of the game. And then, Alan, you didn't get a run until the 67th minute. And then you came on and you did this. A very questionable amount of steps taken. And we've put a counter on it to prove it.
Dublin can break once again with Alan Brogan picking up his first possession. all the way down to his younger brother Bernard. Back to Alan again. Two former footballers of the year, the Brogans. Has options right and left. Needs to make his mind up, and his mind was made up to kick it with his left and to boot it over the bar. What an introduction.
I was saying watching that match, wasn't it fitting that Alan did the 1-2 with Bernard because he's the only one he ever passed it to anyway. But yeah, nice memories with that. You probably knew at the time. Yeah. You were in two minds, I suppose, because Bernard or Diarmuid Connolly made a good support run.
Yeah, well, so when you come that far up the field, I'm thinking, right, I need to offload this now, and like you see, like you saw Dermot going past me there, and I actually asked it, like it just opened up. I think, like again, it was the latter stage. It was quite frantic. It opened up, and I suppose all the work over the years and my left foot paid off in that 6 or 7 second clip, and
yeah,
I managed to stick it over. But I asked Dermot afterwards. Remember being in the showers with him, and we were talking.
Oh, you in the showers?
It wasn't just me and Dermot now.
Back in the hotel, right?
And I asked him, Dermot, what was the story? Like, usually if you see Dermot coming, like, he's roaring for that, and you just give it to him and let him do whatever he does with it. But he never really looked at me when he was running past me, and I said, Dermot, why do you want it? He said, no, at that stage I was bollocks. I didn't want it at all off you. I was just making a decoy run. And look, like, it was a really wet day, if anyone remembers, and you're kicking on your left foot, like, from that far out, like, it could have went anywhere, but thankfully it just, like, it went over the bar. And,
I thought he was under 21. Where did you think he was from? 45. But it's funny, Jerry, I remember watching that final, and I won't ask Alan, because Alan doesn't usually complain about this. He got the point. But I remember looking at this and going, what the hell is going on? Alan Brogan, it's 67 minutes. He's the last sub on. I couldn't understand it, and it just didn't make sense.
Well, to give Alan a good compliment, I had a bit of an injury during the time. Alan, was your groin you were getting sorted? Yeah. And he used to be doing laps and laps around DCU, trying to get himself back fit, and month to month. And for all of those who have been injured, as we all have at some stage, it can be a lonely place at times. So that would be my probably only compliment to you tonight, Alan. But I know I'm only slagging, but I was sitting behind I was in the premium in the canal end, and when Alan came in, you'd actually work back and track back to try to secure possession. But like that one run, despite coming on with 3 minutes or plus the injury time, to be able to do that, a man in his position with numerous All-Stars and Players of the Year, takes great humility and a great sense of playing for the other and playing for the team to work back and to kind of work the ball out like he did. But just a couple of other possessions after it as well, and he was just kind of a safe pair of hands, and similar to the 2011 final as well, you know, in that last part.
Yeah, at that stage though, but... See,
and then he went off in the shower with Diarmuid Connolly. So selfish.
Well, Diarmuid's a star. He needs someone to wash his back, right? So, like, I mean, this is Croke Park, so if you're in a club match and you're not getting on, you're going to run past the manager, and then you run past him again. You might do a few stretches, let him know you're about. So, like, what were you thinking 67 minutes? Does this lad know I'm fucking sitting here?
Yeah, like the way we used to work, it was kind of 3 subs to go out every 5 minutes. So, and it'd be set before the match, so I'd be up with whoever, and you'd warm up for 3 or 4 minutes. When you come back in, the next 3 would go out. But towards the end of that match, there was only 1 or 2 subs left. So Jim only had a few of us, or whoever was looking after the subs time only had a few of us warming up and down. I was thinking, like, I'd come on as a sub in every game that year, maybe around the 50-minute mark, 55-minute mark. It was never past 60 in any game when I came on, I think, and it was getting to 60, 67. I was running up and down like, Jim! But no, at one stage I was nearly running over him and see what he noticed me. But look,
did you think he forgot you were there?
History, no.
Did that cross your mind?
No, I don't remember thinking too much about it. I do remember looking at the clock and I thinking, surely I'm going to get the call here soon. But time slips away very quickly when you're warming up, and kind of 2-3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes can be gone in the blink of an eye. And like for me at that stage, like I was 33 or 34 then. I knew it was going to be my last year, and I was happy to come in and do any job for the team that came in. I was very fortunate.
The rest didn't notice the steps.
Yeah, fortunate for that too. Was it John McQuillan reffing, was it? But
David Goffin, your man, right?
David Goffin,
Will I explain it to you now? Okay.
Hopefully he does us a few favours on Sundays as well.
Jeez, he's done me plenty of
Now
favours.
you've been accused on writing for Paddy Power of attacking poor David Goff and his integrity and his objectivity.
He's walking in Dublin, he's not poor. I was asked the question. I was asked, right, do you think David Goff should ref the game? And all I said was, he works in Dublin, he lives in Dublin, and I said, no. That was it. So then fellas like yourself that make their living off social media, he does make his, hold on. He does make his living off social media and trash talking. Obviously, you know that's why he's in that seat and we are here. But they ran with the story like that. That we were like putting out a kind of clucks blowing Kerry that we didn't want him reffing. It's the opposite. I was just asked an opinion. I gave it, and there was nothing against David Goff. And like he's reffing now Sunday, and it's great that he's reffing. It's like a player starting his first All-Ireland final. There's no pressure.
Yeah.
Have you?
None of you from Kerry.
Have you a WhatsApp group called Kerry Mafia?
He definitely WhatsApp group the refs.
I think you both have mafias working in media. Another quick one I want to ask you before we quickly talk about the match. Is this playing into the Hill 16? And I was talking about this stat on the show yesterday. So Dublin have played into Hill 16 in the first half on 22 of the last 29 occasions, and they won each time. But this year, Cluxton has won the toss twice and chosen to go into Hill 16. Now, we don't know whether factors about win, but 22 of 29, either he's terribly unlucky with the toss or, he's choosing to go into the Hill, where I'm sure, Aidan, when you were playing and when I was playing, you'd always want Dublin going into the Hill in the first half and not have that Hill 16 in the second half. I don't know if he talked about that and what the two lads think about what it was like when you were playing.
We actually, I don't think we ever kind of spoke about it or talked about it. Like we learned from the Mayo game, and what year was that? You weren't going to go into Hill 16. There was only one team going to Hill 16.
That was the warm-up, but I mean, you don't want them kicking in the second half when it's like the cop with Liverpool. You just keep them out of it.
There were small things mentioned about it, but like the years I played Dublin, we'll say in the later years, the 15, 16. For us that time, it wasn't about Dublin playing into Hill 16. It was about being with them at the end of the game. Like in 2016, I think it was level in the 72nd minute. And the one thing Dublin always had, it's like Allen coming on in 2015, the final, is that the subs that came in always made an impact. I see young Costello against Mayo, and was it 17 or 18, he kicked 3 or 4 points. That's what you need. You talk about teams now, and even about Allen coming on there. Like, football has totally changed. Like, when we started off, we were in the first 15, like, towards the end of the world. Like, I played the first 6 All-Ireland finals, I was starting. Next 2009, I wasn't starting. It was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? It was like end of the world stuff. But now it's changed. Like you were talking about Tommy Walsh tonight, like about would you start him or would he come on? A lot of teams now, they may not necessarily start their strongest team and try to finish them. And I think Dublin, like for this Sunday, and getting back to what you're talking about, is that I think the Hill is irrelevant. The only time I took notice of the Hill was when you just walked behind the band. It was great crack. Now if I could lip read, I'd say I'd be frightened out of my life. but like, it was unreal to play in. Like when you play Dublin, like I'll give you a compliment. It was fantastic, even for a Kerry player, because the only pressure was on us, was the fellas that were sitting on the couch in the first episode here, was that the Bomber and these guys, that pressure to carry on the Kerry jersey or the Dublin jersey was put in your back when you went into an Ireland final. Was it a Dublin Kerry game, because what these guys have won before and the previous history. And for us, then, like when you were walking behind our Tame Boys band and you were facing into the Hill, I used to be always smiling to myself. No, I wouldn't smile into the Hill. I'd know better. But it's like, it's amazing atmosphere that you could never in your life think of. Now, you said yourself you played in the finals with Leash as well, like, so. See, we can all throw shit at each other, like.
Aidan, so from 95 to 2002, Dublin didn't win a Leinster Championship. So we won one in 2002 for the first time, and obviously whatever 16, 17, and the celebrations around the place when we won that Leinster final. So
they were big back then.
The Leinster games you played, like if you look back on the attendances, there were certainly 60, 70.
There was 82 in 07. There was 82 in 07. But to get back to the Hill, right? So the
wind in Croke Park.
You would have come on the scene, right?
Yeah.
And was the hill a factor in your decision which way to play? Now, you weren't around when Alan and Wheelo used to make a show of themselves by going down clapping to the hill. Do you remember when that was going on? You came after that.
I was starting to. I used to be at the training games with the lads and trying to get into the squad, and I never understood why they were doing that, and probably still don't understand why they did it. Well, I know why the players did it, because you're probably told to do it, but
you hope they were told to do it, right?
You hope told to do it, yeah. But that was probably a bit of a culture shift when Pat came in as well, Alan. This external stuff, while it was obviously super to have the crowd, and to tie in with Aidan's point, when you're walking behind the band and the crowd are there, if you let the moment get in on you, the enormity of the moment, whether it's your first All-Ireland or what have you, you just have to kind of just actually smile to yourself. I used to do it too, and just talk to myself, said, thank God I'm here, isn't this brilliant? And sure, let's see what happens. And but in terms of from a tactical point of view, from my experience, not that I shot that often, but I think I have a good shot to score ratio actually, but not as good as Alan. But there's a bit of a kind of swirly wind in the shooting into the canal end, and that's just based on the shape of the stadium. So the hill, there might be a bit more gust sometimes when you're shooting into that end, but I wouldn't say Clucko is thinking too much.
So you'd never actually decide, if you win the toss, we'll go into the hill in the second half?
Lads used to talk about, will we go with the wind or won't we?
It was more wind, right?
Well, I'll tell you why now I would go against the wind in the first half, and it's a very simple thing, and it comes down to the amount of time that is now added at the end of the second half. So 35 minutes is played, 2 minutes of injury time.
Yeah.
The second half comes on, begins, and like Aidan mentioned, Gaelic football has changed, and quite often the team that finishes is looking for that team to be your strongest. So I think it's 20 seconds. You might notice, will you?
20 seconds. Sub, yeah, it's usually about 7 minutes extra.
It's usually about 7 minutes. So if I'm thinking tactically, do I want more time kicking against the wind or kicking with the wind? Yeah, the answer is obvious. Yeah. So maybe that's the only thing that's influencing the decision. But
I can't believe I never really thought about that.
That's actually
that's why we're a distant seat. We're a distant seat. Oh my God!
It seems so logical, right? Why would you?
I'll be ringing Peter Keane after this.
But we always took the win like Egypt, right? What were we thinking? Alan, you have a chance to defend yourself on the Hill 16 going down to Clapton.
I thought we were going to move on from that.
What did you actually think? Because I tell you, I was.
Are you doing the interview or are you doing the interview?
I was working. There's an off license in Fisborough there, Hart Corner, called Sweeney's Wine Merchants, and I was only knocking around the training panel at that stage, so I knew I wasn't in the championship squad. But you're playing against Mayo in that semi-final, and supposed to be working on serving people, but had a television on in the background as you would, and a bit of messing then in the warm up. But I'll be honest, and I'm sure the lads will agree with me, like, you want the team to do well, but the fella in your position maybe not to do so well, so that you can get in. But I remember kind of watching that and the lads kind of clapping and all that stuff, but I never understood it, but I can only assume that it was some sort of psychological thing.
Like you have to remember, we were getting hammered by Tyrone, we were getting hammered by Kerry, we were walking through Leinster, maybe not walking through Leinster, but we were winning Leinster well at that stage. We were coming up against the Tyrones, the Kerrys, and we were getting bet off the park. So we were looking for any angle we could find that could just bring us that bit closer. I don't know, maybe it wasn't even intimidation, and it was just trying to get that, trying to get Hill 16, the 16th man behind us, and see could that make a difference for us. There was no really more to it than that, to be honest with you. Like, I can't.
You never thought of just like that, kind of maybe tackle that bit harder or something, you know? You know, like what Pat Gilroy thought of.
Well, maybe there was that bit of insecurity in the team at the time. I don't know, but it was like we were shipping a few big defeats in big games over the course of the 3 or 4 years before that. We'd obviously been beaten by Tyrone. That Mayo game, we'd been beaten by Tyrone in 05 when we thought we were ready to make that step up.
Did you feel
we were probably bullied a little bit? We were probably bullied a little bit. I actually started very well in that game, and Conor Gormley came on me then, probably bullied me a little bit in the second half, didn't get on much ball. So for me personally, I was looking for any angle I could find that could maybe just make us some more. Yeah, maybe we should have just tackled harder. And we never thought of that.
It's like the extra time. Did you feel weird doing it? Were you hiding in the crowd, or were you? Wheeler was being pulled back by the jersey one time. Well, that was the Mayo match, wasn't he? Someone was pulling. Wheeler was about to climb into the hill.
He was psyched up for that. And I feel, no, I always not felt comfortable enough to walking towards Hill 16. Like, we were Dubs, we loved Hill 16.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I was saying on the show yesterday, could you imagine Jim Gavin watching that? I'd say he'd be like, what the fuck is going on here?
It was a different time. It was a different time. We were in a completely different position than the team now is, and I suppose we were just looking for any angle we could. And like in fairness to Pillar and that management team, like, we left no stone unturned trying to reach an All-Ireland final. And if there's one, like I've said it before, if there was one regret that I'd have over the course of my career, and it's hard for me to have any regrets, it's that we didn't manage to reach an All-Ireland final with that team over that period, because it was a close group. We put a huge amount of effort in, and we probably deserve, like, that game against Mayo that day is obviously a big regret. We should have closed that game out in hindsight. Maybe Tyrone, but particularly that Mayo. I mean, we would have had to play Kerry in the final, so maybe we wouldn't have won the final, but just getting to a final at that stage, I think, would have been a monkey off the back for us.
No, well, it's true, and I played against you. You were a very well prepared team. That's like, we're not trying to slag Pillar off, because, like, I remember at that time thinking,
you might come on your show again, Willie. What? You might come on your show again if you do.
Come here, we're pushing on for time, so we're just going to get predictions on the game, but we might talk a little bit around the predictions. Ger, we'll start with you.
Well, look, I suppose most of the comments has been around, this is an up-and-coming Kerry team, a lot of young guys there. The very few, the average age of the Kerry team is obviously not significantly lower than the Dublin squad, but there's more experienced guys, there's more All-Irelands in the Dublin team going to take the field on Sunday. But look, a bit like us, going back to that 2011 final with 0 All-Irelands, playing against numerous All-Irelands, like, there's always a bit of hope if you kind of have that bit of belief in yourself. Personally, I feel that Kerry, they're just not quite there yet. I know they've won maybe 4 underage All-Irelands. They've gotten to a couple of under-20 All-Ireland finals in as well. When they do break through that glass ceiling, they're going to win a good few. They might mirror or get close to what Dublin have done now. Are they going to be good enough to do a Sunday? I don't think so. I was looking at some of the numbers and the amount of scores that, the average scores that Dublin and Kerry are getting a game, albeit some easy games in Leinster for the Dublin team. Kerry played maybe Beclair by 3 points. Bit of a tougher game against Cork in the Munster final, but on average, Dublin are scoring 26 points a game, conceding 12, and on average, Kerry are scoring 22 points, conceding 16. So I think we're going to see similar numbers when it comes to the final. I don't think it's going to be that high. There are fine margins. If you look at the 6 All-Ireland finals, I know I'm diverging a small bit, but 4 of those 6 All-Ireland finals have been won by 1 point and won them after replay. And then I think 3 points in 2015 against the lads, and maybe 6 points last year against Tyrone. So All-Ireland finals, funny things can happen.
And the Kerry games have been close, 13, 16 and 15.
There'd be nothing between them, and that sense of tradition that Aidan talked about, like, it's definitely a big weight on your, well, you can use it as a weight or use it as a motivator, and the better players will use it as a motivator, because you are standing on the shoulders of great men, and I know you had Alan Starr and a few other greats on the sofa as well. So I certainly would have been very much conscious of those things going to an All-Ireland final, and one way of maybe alleviating some of the nerves going into a match, whether you're good enough or not, or am I going to be staying on the field or taking off or what have you, is I'm going to give it my all, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And in 2011, it was meant to be, and it is, gas. I was chatting to Colm Cooper this morning, and he was captain that year, but he was saying when he kicked his lovely point, he dummied in on the left, I think on field, and kicked it over on the right. He was looking up at the scoreboard. They were 4 points up. Maybe 7 minutes to go, give or take, and he says, right, games, we're doing okay here, let's win the next ball, 1 or 2 more scores. And he said, in all the years playing Dublin, if they were up by 4 or 5 points going into the last quarter, they tended to win by 7, 8, even 9 points, and that creeps into your psyche because you're so used to winning us, beating us rather. So you asked me who's going to win. Dublin's going to win by 5.
Dublin's going to win. Paddy Power right on the handicap, as usual. Aidan, what do you think?
Yeah, I suppose, look, they say the bookies are never too far wrong. It's a young Kerry team. I was looking during the week there. I think there's 17 on the panel that are playing their first All-Ireland final. I suppose the only thing that gives us hope in Kerry is that they're young lads. You're getting to your first All-Ireland final. You're going to be hungry. I don't think they're not going to be looking at trying to stop Dublin in the 5-0. I know the first panel said this. They're trying to win their first All-Ireland final. Like I started off in 2003 and I was sitting on the bench and we played Tyrone and myself and Paul Gavin were sitting beside each other and I just said to Paul, I said, we should be on there. I genuinely meant it. I said, like, we should be in there. Like, we should be playing. And I remember Tyrone bullied Kerry that day. And in 2004, we came into that team and we were like fellas possessed, as in we just wanted that Kerry jersey. We wanted to replicate what had been done before by Owen and Jack and these guys, and you want to leave the jersey in a better place. So now I think the team I was involved in up to 2016, a lot of those guys are gone, and there's a new group after coming through, and they're young. They'll have no fear. The pressure is on Dublin, like obviously, and I don't mean that in a throwaway comment, because the 5 in a row is there to win, something that's never been won before. And you have a young Kerry team coming up, as I said, they've nothing to lose. And like, I won't say we come up and hope, because in Kerry Dublin games, there's never much between them. And the one thing I just seen down through the years when Kerry played Dublin, and you know this, Alan, is that everyone speaks about the matchups and the forwards from Dublin and the forwards from Kerry. And when the games go on, then lads are marked out of it, and something else happens in the game. You know, the main forwards you look at mightn't appear that day or mightn't show up, or they might go on 67 minutes and kick a pint after taking 9 steps. But you know, but you know what I mean. Like, as in, like that's why I think Sundays, well, it could be a low-scoring game, because the whole analysis for the last 2 or 3 weeks has been on like who's going to mark Paul Mannion or who's going to mark Con. You know, and any day you're trying to mark the both of them, and you're kind of saying, look, if one of them kicks 2 or 3 points, and you're doing well. So I think that's on both sides. So for me, I think that from a Kerry side, you from my side, we always got belief when we put on the Kerry jersey, and we have to have belief on Sunday. And for me, I think the Kerry will beat them by a point.
Quickly, as part of your prediction, Alan, I want you to include the matchups in the Dublin defence if Tommy Walsh starts. And Jerry, you can help out too.
Yeah. Well, the matchups, I think it's a tricky one for Jim, because if Tommy Walsh starts, he's used Philly over the last few years to pick up Kieran Donaghy, to pick up Aidan O'Shea, and he's played full forward. So obviously, he's not going to know if Tommy Walsh starts. Philly has started on the bench in the last few games, so the likelihood is Philly won't start the game. So if Tommy Walsh plays, I think he'll play. Yeah, talk to James McCarthy, but then he's to move James McCarthy back from.
James McCarthy went in on him in the league game in Tralee.
Back.
Yeah.
I think Mike Fitzsimons will pick up Clifford.
And
who'll
go on Geaney, O'Sullivan or Cooper?
Johnny Cooper or Davy Byrne will be there as well. So it's like Tommy Walsh is the X factor in this, and
he is. Like, he changes the matchups completely, doesn't he?
He definitely does. It's like even size-wise, Mick Fitzsimons would be the taller of the 4 fullbacks that Alan mentioned. And if Tommy doesn't start, it's a simple matchup to put him on David Clifford.
Yeah.
If Tommy Walsh does start, I'd probably put Philly there, because he'd be a bit like Aidan. He'd be kind of just
strong,
strong, like the way he marked Aidan, Michael Murphy in 2014. But again, Alan did say it already. Davy Byrne has started most of the games. It'd probably be unfair.
Do you know, when you talk about the Q Kerry Hoors, like, this guy is inside track, so he knows exactly who's going to be picking up who. Like, we're here and he's going around like, Philly's not starting there and he might be on. And
Bernard texting the team there going on. Bernard texting, yeah.
And Paul Mannion tore his hamstring. You heard that, did you?
We want a few more.
Yeah.
But like, I think for me, like a big factor is 2 exceptional sets of forwards, and they're both going to be hard to tie down. But like, an All-Ireland final takes on a life of its own. It's edgy, it's tense for long periods of the game. But the Kerry back line for me, and a couple of them have done well, but I think they're missing, with Peter Crowley gone this year, like, I think they're missing like a real leader back there. Someone like Aidan or like a Jared that has experience and has that ability to play centre back and just command that area. I'm not sure if Kerry have that in their 6 backs at the moment, and I think that's going to be the challenge. The other area, I think, is going to be the Kerry goalkeeper, Shane Ryan. It's his first year in the championship. no sure thing. At some stage in that game, Dublin are going to put serious pressure on his kick out, and how he copes with that, I think, is going to have a big impact on the game. If he can, Kerry have a chance. I think if he struggles with his kick outs and Dublin put that press on with their four big men across the middle, then I think that will give the likes of Con and Paul Mannion opportunities inside, and I expect Dublin to win. Like you can never write off Kerry, and Dublin would never write off Kerry going into a game like this. But I think as well for, like we talked about the 5 in a row, I think for spectators and fans on both sides of the fence, I think it's a dream All-Ireland final. Like Dublin have a chance to win 5 in a row, Kerry have a chance to stop 5 in a row. So I think for us it's a dream final, and I know everyone's hugely looking forward to it, but I'm going to go for Dublin by 3-8.
Dublin by 3.
Right,
so
you're going to say, like I said more. But even outside that, it is the dream final. Like for, when people talk to you and say, would you love to be playing now? Now, obviously, you realise after a few years you don't want to play because the level has gone to it. But like, it is the dream final. Kerry and Dublin, and like the lads are on the couch tonight. The guys that played in the 70s and the golden era of football. Like you'd love for those days to come back again, because you have two teams now, even the Dublin team. Like, even if Kerry win the game Sunday, or if Dublin win the 5 in a row, both those teams they're still very young. Like the average age is, I'd say, if the Kerry team is 21, 22, 23, same with Dublin. They're not going anywhere for the next 7 or 8 years, which is very healthy for football as well, because you've I won't say about Leash now in case I think I'm cutting the back off you again, but it's just a great game to look forward to for an All-Ireland final. There's so much right in this game. The 5 in a row, which they've done a good job of keeping quiet. You think some fellas like yourself now, they'd be on the borderline with him, would start driving it on a bit. But
we even got Andy Moore to retire to try to keep it off the back page for another day.
I was going to say, you couldn't be up with Jim Gavin when he does. But, it has. And I think that's the beauty about the game Sunday, because like the good thing with youth, and both teams are young, with the Kerry team, like when you're playing your first All-Ireland final, there's going to be no expectation on them, the expectation they put on themselves. And like, I just think we've a great game to look forward to, and we're very fortunate to be looking forward to a game like that.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward. Well, that's all we've time for, so give it up for panel number 2. All right, like I said, that's it. We'll be back on Monday morning. We'll have a review show. Keane Ward will be back in then, so we'll talk to you then. So good night, everyone. All right.